With 96% of the adult population at work, the traditional family unit has become fragmented. People no longer rely solely on family for guidance. Instead, the mass media dictate where we should search. There has been a huge increase in self-help books, psychic helplines, and while there is still some underlying stigma attached, the numbers of people seeking counselling has also increased.
What's becoming more and more common these days, or appears to be, if the media are an indication, the reports in the media are an indication of it, is frequent and habitual callings of psychic tarot lines, for example. And in that case, the psychic is playing a role that might be more normally played by a counsellor or a psychotherapist, where it's not individual life decisions, but an assessment of how a person's doing in their life, or constant day-to-day decisions that are needing some kind of support from that external individual.
It's perhaps disingenuous of me to talk in a negative fashion about phone lines, psychic phone lines and so forth and so on. You know, maybe it sounds like slightly hypocritical, and I'm sorry if it does, but I don't know if one can necessarily pick up truthfully upon somebody else's situation down a phone line. And also, what I don't like about the phone lines is you're forced, or you're encouraged to stay on the line as long as possible. It seems to be very exploitative, I would have thought.
There is definitely a shift from small communal groups to larger social groups, and with the changing in the way that commuting structures are working and the way that housing structures are working, there is or appears to be at least a drop in the emphasis on knowing your neighbours and having a sort of core group of friends that you would see on a daily, or if not frequently during the week basis. And so the core group of individuals that a person sees from day to day would have shrunk, certainly from the standard that would have been present right up until the 20th century in Ireland at least, and certainly is different from the way that human beings as a species would have evolved.
I think, yes, that people probably are more isolated, again because of working harder. People have less time for socialising. Most households are empty during the day. Once the children are 2 or 3, they're out and everybody else is out too. And also at weekends, families have so much to catch up with that there is less energy and less time to be available just for more laid-back pursuits.
I think in the world we live in today, people have to protect themselves an awful lot more, and I think cynicism is rife, not just in relation to the whole psychic issue, but I think people have become cynical. I think we're bombarded on a daily basis with mass media. We see things on TV all of the time, and in order to protect ourselves so we don't become completely, I think, fragmented, if you like, from what we see on TV, I think that we have to actually become cynical. It's like a shell of cynicism that we cloak ourselves in to push everything that is too much for us out.
Psychotherapeutic services have not become the kind of industry that they are in the States now, where you have a sort of a diverse range of people helping you make decisions and counselling on the decisions you make in the States, and having a therapist is considered fairly standard fare. It's still not as sort of widespread within Irish culture as it would be in the States, and we certainly still have a not quite a stigma, but we don't see the accessing of sort of psychotherapy as a given in the way that it seems to, at least in certain parts, the more urbanized parts of the United States.
The increased wealth and prosperity in 21st century Ireland seems to have been both a blessing and a curse. Whilst people's standard of living has risen, their mental health and happiness has declined. Now that we have broadened our horizons, we have increased our questioning and our confusion. In a land steeped in affluence, people continue to search for a suitable life path.
It doesn't really matter how many toys we have. We're still going to need something more, because all the toys, they won't satisfy us in the long run.
I would say there's certainly been an increase in my business over the last several years. Every year there will be an increase, it's just gotten busier and busier. But I don't know if that's necessarily a great thing, because I think there's a greater sense of desperation in people now, which puts great pressure upon me, which I don't really like very much.
The belief system provides a prescriptive plan for how you should act in different situations. And because of the really quite remarkable human ability to control our own actions rather than just be driven by the environment, some kind of means of restricting and focusing our actions is required. And that's really what belief systems tend to provide.
I believe that God is active in every civilization, and God just doesn't desert us. The Spirit of God is there and will enable people to find their way. And it mightn't be the traditional way, but they have a right to search, and they have a right to find their meaning in life.
I believe that without a reason to live and without a viable ability to answer one's own questions about the meaning of existence, it is very hard to be motivated to get up and get on with things from day to day, and harder still to have the energy to surmount obstacles unless there is, good solid motivation. Call that a belief system if you want.
Whether we believe in a higher power, in fate, or in scientific truth, it seems we are all searching for something more, something which we still cannot find even in the second richest country in the world. A certain number of people have moved away from the Catholic values of traditional Ireland. Many are now seeking guidance from counsellors, psychotherapists and psychics. In this dynamic, fast-paced society, it seems there will always be more questions than answers.
Save me from the movies and someone else's dream.